Having a business should give you more life, but the reality is most businesses aren't giving their business owners more life. In our chat with Coach Hugh today, he shares the power of creating goals, and he also talks about market fit. So is the market that you're in determining the business that you've designed, or have you designed the business based on the life that you want to live and the goals that you want to achieve for your life? Let's have a listen to Hugh. Hugh Bowman, business coach. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hugh, tell me, why did you become a business coach?
Well, it was actually more about what I didn't want to do, if you must know. It's not what you want to hear, but I'd previously an engineer, worked in the consulting industry, and I wanted to I wanted to live in Geelong, which is where my family are from, and I had a lot of kids at the same time. And I just had this. I actually read this book. There's a fable called Acres of Diamonds. Have you heard of that? And it goes something like this: is that there's acres of diamonds in every backyard, and all you got to do is work out how to go and get them. And so I thought, well, I've got these great skills. How do I use them in Geelong? And so I stumbled across Action Coach and realised it wasn't consulting, which I didn't want to do, and it means I could design my own business, work from home, or live nearby and do my family things I wanted to do. And then I ran to Action Coach, and well, the rest is history. 12 years ago.
Good reason. 12 years ago. And Geelong is in Melbourne, near Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, for those listening around the world and don't know where Geelong is. Hugh, so you specifically work with a lot of tradies, and you get to talk to a lot of tradies and business owners every day. Tell me, what's the number one thing that you find with working with lots of clients and trades over the years that gets the best result in business?
Yeah, good question. It actually varies a bit, but with tradies, they just get bogged down without having a sounding board. Is a really big one. Like, they say they've got all these good ideas, but they're just in a flap or a mess in their head to work out which direction they should go in. And they kind of just openly say to me, help me come up with my direction, or steer me in the right direction. And it's kind of, that's my talk. I love those sort of people because I steer them in the right direction, and they go hard and do really well. And it's so in our speak, I guess, is giving them a bit of a destination or what they really want. They go, all I want's a business that's easy to run and a workshop and it doesn't stress them out, which is obviously a bit of headspace stuff. It's different. And a sounding board. They're the biggest things. It's simple.
So what are the kind of crazy ideas or things that are running around their head? Can you give me some examples of what?
It's they're usually not as complex as you think. They're just like, should I buy a truck and start doing rail on roofing rather than just doing roof tiling? And they sort of go, I'm not sure. I have to spend a heap of money there. I don't know how to build that business there, but I'm a roof tiler and I've been roof tiling for 10 years. So I'm just in a flap. I don't know what to do. And so they kind of just hit Plateauville and can't make a decision. They just sort of hover along with the market like everyone else around them, I guess, because that's who they reflect off. So it's quite often I kind of look at them and go, well, that roof tiling business we're talking about is, all labour, difficult to hard labour that are not very well trained maybe and hard to manage and linked with, big companies that just feed them work, and so they don't really have a structured marketing arm to that style of business. And I go, well, why don't we do this rail business and we can be completely in control. We have to spend the assets in it. We know how to market it, and it's easy. Get anyone to do it, and yet you can work for anyone. And it's like, and we could spin your business towards this direction and have far more control and be more profitable. And they go, and then we could just phase that out. And they go, oh, wow, that's easy. Why didn't you? And I go, well,
let's do it.
I'm saying it like it's strange. It seems obvious to me, these sort of conversations I have.
Yeah.
And it's because they try and do a bit of everything and they don't know which angle to go down. So I kind of go, well, that's a ripper idea. Let's go hard at that.
Okay.
Quite often, almost certainly, and a bit of is there money in that angle? You know, it might be a plumber that kind of says they do a bit of everything, but they just love doing septics, for example. And septics are good chunks of work, good machinery, not much competition, good margins. And I go, well, no one else in the market is marketing for them specifically, because they're in the trap of just trying to do a bit of everything, and they might do them when asked. But hey, why don't we claim that space in the market? Be the number one guy that does septics, and so that's what we do. Run down that road, and it's like a massive revelation to them, and it's, you know, it turns a business around really quickly.
So there's a couple of things that you've mentioned. You mentioned that there's a lot of things that or ideas that are spinning around their head, and having you to be a coach, to be able to be a sounding board, to kind of talk through those ideas. And then you mentioned it's almost like that bird's eye view that you come in, look at the market fit, the product, and also design their business in line with the life that they want to build. Am I on the ball there?
We got a bit of a gap there. You might have to chop out.
Designing the business of designing their life around, you know, or designing their business around the life they want to lead. So it's getting clear on that type of business that they want to build that's going to support the life that they want to have, that destination you mentioned.
Yeah. And most blokes aren't great at this. They kind of have their visions all around their business. And I have to push really hard. In fact, I'm pretty passionate about this is what is the personal side they want to get out of owning their business. Like, I really try and draw that link together. And because usually you actually need the wife involved a bit sometimes. They are much more clear on that. And they're not as ambitious as you think often. They're like, I just want to be able to have 3 months off and have a caravan trip around Australia. And I kind of go, well, yeah, well, that means your business has to run without you for 3 months. That's a good, you know, goal to be able to do in the next few years. You know, well, it's a great goal, in fact. Is that where you're trying to get to?
Yeah, 100%. So, Hugh, have you got an example of a client that you can tell me about that you know had these ideas and you've helped them get clear on what that market fit is, and what was the challenge that they were really having when they first came to you?
Yeah, right. Well, the septic tank one is a real one, you know. And he's doing a bit of house plumbing, and he's doing a bit of maintenance plumbing, and he likes doing septics. But that's exactly really sort of in a flap of not fully in control of their understanding his financials, you could say. And you go, therefore, he doesn't know. He sort of go, oh God, the phone rings. I better take that phone call. I better do that job. Well, that builder's chasing me. I've got to look after my builder. So they're sort of in this sort of short-termism, not quite sure what what's going on in the back office, and that's part of it. If they knew how well they're going, or they knew some sort of financial trajectory there, they go, well, I'm happy to run down the road of doing septics. In fact, I help them do the numbers around the profitability of it and how we're going to market for it, and then we go, yeah, that's a great direction to go in. So. That one there. That rail one I mentioned, the roof tiler, who was pretty much linked to volume builders doing, you know, cheaper construction of houses, doing roof tiling, and he had a team of, I had a couple of teams doing this, but I had one business that had it was like 45 staff, and almost within the first month of me working with them, we chopped it down to about 15 because we just said all this unprofitable work, all these the poorly chosen employees, unprofitable work, doing roof tiling for volume builders all around the country, wasting heaps of time. We go, well, let's just pluck out the profitable work and do a better deal with a smaller group of people and that business. And then we bought into a rail business as well. We bought a business.
Okay. So it's not necessarily, you know, about scaling straight away. It's about sometimes peeling back, stripping it back to see what are the key areas that are profitable so that you can scale for the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And There's no way. Linking it with their personal side is that business with 45 employees, that they're all like, they're virtually straight out of prison, these guys. And like the management of them is just astronomical. Like there's so many guys who are in prison. It's not funny. It's hilarious.
Sounds like a reality TV show.
Oh yeah, none of them have any teeth, and they tats everywhere. Like it's like unreal. But
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, my perception there. But there's no way. So there's every chance they'll be flat out the whole time, forever, trying to manage this team. Like it's very hard management. You're never going to get better quality style tradesmen who can self-manage, or you can train them to be management, of small teams. Like, and so there is a direct link with being able to get home by 5 o'clock at night, isn't there? Rather than having phone calls all night with people cancelling and not coming in and sick, and So the style of that work or component is a big factor. So yeah, we look at that absolutely.
So when a client, a business owner comes to you initially to talk about the challenges that they're having, what's the first thing that you sit down with them and do? I think it's, really designing what is the life that they want to build. So walk me through how you do that and why that's important.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, this is funny. So what I actually say is that I'm in the mission of trying to build, use their business to build their wealth. But I go, but the thing is, the first thing I do is work on their business and go, well, let's run the ruler over it and work. And then the very start of it is, as you know well, we spend a chunk of time up front to work out what are their big personal goals. And I dig into this really hard and go, well, what are they trying to achieve and what's important to them? And I really want the wives involved too, like if they're a couple, it's huge. And out of the back of that, if that's what they really want there, we know we can work out what the business needs to do to deliver that. And then we start looking at some business goals, and they come up with some goals themselves, and they're often waffly, not very clear.
Like what? Give me some examples of that, like the roof
tiling.
tiling.
Personal profit. And I go, well, why? And they go, well, and then I'm a bit sexist here, but the wife usually says, well, all I want to do is own our home outright. I just want to have that, not have that stress because I've got my family and kids. And I go, well, it's not a bad one if that's the most important thing to you. and another guy actually said to me on a personal front, he said, well, he's married to just started with him actually. He works with a doctor, and he goes, and she's earning a lot of money, but to him, to make him feel like he's valued, he actually just wants a thriving little building business. It's like the most important thing for him. I'm saying, surely you want a nice car or a ute or go on holidays. He goes, no, that's all okay. I just want to have a good, thriving little business that runs well, I'm really proud of. I go, well, okay, I understand. And what does that mean? And then you talk about business goals. He's going, look, I just want to triple my income. I just need to earn a reasonable amount that justifies me doing this. And they go, well, okay, well, that's, whatever it was, 150 grand a year in his eyes. And which I think it will go much further than that. And I'm fully aware that, you push them into setting a huge goal that they feel that they're never going to get to. You lose the buy-in from them. And I can tell you, in 1 year's time, we're going to get to that little goal of tripling his income. And he'll go, oh, that's pretty good, but I want to do this now.
So it's like setting those shorter term goals and then stretching them beyond that. Once
they get to that point, they will all of a sudden see the next better things. And I've told him, I mentioned before how his goal was he just wanted a thriving little business. That would really float his boat. And I've been in a similar situation, so I actually understand what he was saying there. But I said, I'm going to dig you. I'm going to push you with this, like not right now, because it's fair. You want to have a nice business. Personally, you want to feel valued for it. But I'm going to push you on this because we're going to do more here in this space of personal goals and things. And he's aware of it. But right now he can't see past that, so that's fine.
Okay. So tell me about another client that you've got that, and what kind of goals did they have, or what sort of challenges did they have when they first came to you?
Yeah, it's That's well, I've got plenty of examples, but it has changed a bit because in the last 9 months things have been a bit tougher. So they're coming a bit more with the whole holy moly, I've got a 200 grand tax debt, and I don't know what to do. Which I hate taking on these guys, but um, or they just that one was a car restoration fella, and he does that's could be a luxury item. Like if you've got an old classic car that's 1970 something coupe that you really want to restore, and the reality is they cost like they do a really really good job, and that's what he does. They're like $400,000, and that's not business money. You can't hide that thing, and so his business like just shrunk overnight, so he just thought, holy moly, got a shrinking business, I'm going to collapse, and then all of a sudden, boom, this tax debt came out of nowhere. So that's a common one that's cropped up. But if you go back,
is that a result of COVID or that period of time?
Well, COVID was yes and no. COVID in that he was cruising along beautifully, making the good money, getting by comfortably without any stress, and things was easy. But as soon as the market changed, so the economy changed, things tightened up. And you've raised something really, really good there. Is I do have a few businesses I'm working with that are in a bit of trouble right now, like about 3 maybe. But in every case, they can blame the economy, but it's not that. It never, ever is. What it is that they have failed to put the right steps in place over the preceding 2 or 3 years when things were good, to like marketing systems and marketing assets, and finding getting away from having that 1 or 2 big customers, like that roof tiling business I mentioned. He had 1 big customer because they just fed him work. They sent him the order. He went and did it. Too easy. And then all of a sudden, the volume construction industries hit the skids about 9 months ago, and all of a sudden, boom, they got stopped work. And he goes, "Well, I got no work," and I go, "Well, mate, we're now realizing, in the last 2 years, we should have been putting things in place."
Okay, great. So that's a really good point. So it's not being reactive; it's actually planning for what could potentially happen.
Correct.
Okay.
And I had a ripper story. I had a house restumper. A guy can't even turn a computer on. Like house restumping, great little business. Like simple fellow, but thankfully he believes what I say. I said, "Mate, we need to put we need a website, not complex. We need to be able to way to market your business other than just your van signage." And I said, because we knew interest rates are going up, we knew things were going to slow down. I could see it. It didn't happen quite as quickly as I expected, but we're like a year ahead of the time, more a year to 15 months. And so we put all these things in place. And then sure enough, one day he came in and says, "Oh, all of a sudden I've had a cancelled job, I've got no work." And I go, "Well, let's just wind up our system that we've been preparing for it." And within, 6 weeks, he was all full again.
Which it could have gone very different if he hadn't have
absolutely
put that, plans in place to make revisions for that.
Yeah. So it was a simple marketing plan, but it worked. We were prepared with websites, we're prepared with doing Google ads, we're prepared with how we're going to do it in a target and what our competitors are doing. And in the games of house restumping, it's a pretty simple game that people who are in that industry don't have highly leveraged marketing systems or digital presence. So we're smashing.
So the big aha moment for me that you've shared so far is when you're in business and you are, maybe not so much reactive, but your business is being dictated to by the market around you, the market demands around you at the time. There's a lot of risk in that. You're not having the power, the foresight to see what's coming, not necessarily risk averse, not looking at potential opportunities that may be out there that you're missing. What you're able to do with business owners specifically is to be able to look at their distribution channels, what product lines they've got, what's profitable within those product lines, and kind of strip away what's not serving them, and look, say, 5-10 years ahead, almost more than that, to kind of set them up for that business of the future.
Yeah. I get really excited with people who want a niche and go down the road. I get really excited with um uh, uh, um guys. Ultimately, they just want to be really niche and go down and find their own market, make their own marketing. It's almost like a bit of competitiveness in there. Like they go, I want to separate myself from everyone else. And I have this great line that I push to everyone when I meet them. I just go, well, you're an electrician. I look behind me. I've got, 15 electricians there I work with. Why should I choose you? And they never have a great answer. Well, they rarely can. They can't sort of voice it in a way that would attract me. I go, well, like we need to nail that. We nail that. We nail virtually all your marketing. And then we're going to go use that as a big tool to differentiate ourselves against everyone else.
Yeah, which is, I mean, we know that as a business principle, in terms of we know that that's one of the elements of marketing 101 is know who your customer is, what's your value proposition. But it's interesting using it then in the trades market. It's still relevant in that market as well. It's not exempt. Your market is not exempt to that.
Yeah, and it's and of course you say, well, plumbers, don't they all do the same sort of thing? And I go, well, yes and no. Like I work with a lot of plumbers.
They do not all do the same thing. And not only that, it's do they clean up after themselves? Are they pleasant to deal with? Do they show up on time? There's so many other elements other than just the core service.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's so we talk about a lot of those things. That's what I help them with.
Okay. Yeah. Love it. So Hugh, when you talk about destination with your clients and you're thinking about the future and that you're helping them kind of set some goals, what is one of the things that you find surprises you more than anything around this process of goal setting?
Oh, right. Well, how few they have, is one thing, and they really have goals, and they also how small their goals are.
Interesting. Okay.
And small. I mean, in my view, so I actually outwardly say, so I don't want to give you, my impression of what you should be doing because it's somewhat a mistake as well. But they're often their goals are quite simple. And obviously because they're not in practice in trying to extend themselves with goals, so early on, like you have to let me know because you've gone still there. So the goals are like literally, I just want to pay off my house is the only thing I care about. The only thing I want to hear is my business that works for them, and I accept that it's step one. I don't accept it is step 2, 3, or 4 because no, I need to stretch them a bit more because what happens, like I have, I could reel off like 6 or 10 examples of this very thing because I've been really focused on this the last couple of years. I ran a workshop 2 years ago and there was like 12 people in there, and of those people, like the number of them that wanted to buy their car of their dreams, and they wanted to buy a workshop for their business, and they wanted to fully understand and pay off their home. Like they're not. Sometimes they're a big stretch, owning a workshop, but all of them achieved them all in like half the time. Like I'm talking less than 2 years, they've all achieved all of them, and yet they're all sort of thinking they're like so far away they couldn't even predict how they're going to get themselves into a workshop. They couldn't predict how they're going to have this 3-month holiday with the caravan around. It's just too hard. Like didn't know when, no concept. And so, and the other thing is the guys that have come back and told, like, this is fast forward 2 years. This fella who was like 63, to his credit, all he wanted to do was do some things with his grandkids and set up his business to sell in 5 years. And he told me, like, literally last week, he says, I've actually got something for my dream, my wish list, my dream chart. And I'm thinking that, he's got everything, this guy. It's just like, a $3 million turnover sort of building business, right? He goes, I think I need a 458 Ferrari. And I just wow, this is awesome. I'm loving this, Charles. and he goes, oh, well, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. But we were piecing together his all of his assets, and he's got them, 26 blocks of land for sale. And I could actually see he's a cunning old character. We could sell a couple of blocks here, and we could roll this like this. And I could see that because the 458 Ferraris are the last of the naturally aspirated ones that do this and do this and do this, and they're 13 years old now. When that happens in 2 years' time, it's going to be like, he goes, well, it's going to be a good investment too. And I go, yeah, it will be. And it's and I actually reckon it'll happen. But there's my tip. Ask me again in 2 years.
Right. Yeah,
he will have a 458.
Charles gets that Ferrari.
And
so what was his dream? What was his initial goal?
Oh, it was just to build a showroom on his office block and spend some more time with his grandkids. That was it. Like, it was really small.
He achieved that within 12 months.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's just finished in the last month, the showroom. And it's actually, it's a lot more than just a showroom. It's actually a huge marketing piece for his business, and a succession plan as well, all built in and so we can, he's an elderly, he's getting a bit older, this guy. So anyway, so it's actually a lot more than just an investment, and so it's a whole succession plan for his business and everything as well. But still, there's no way he would have talked about this Ferrari to anyone else. He's a very reserved, modest country fellow, and it would have never been on there 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love it. Hugh, why is this so important? Why is that something that you spend time with clients focusing on, those goals? And why has it happened so quickly?
Yeah, sorry, I missed a few words there. Can you go back 15 seconds?
Why is it so important that business owners have goals? And how did that happen, those goals that they set? How did it happen so quickly?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I guess the coach speak is, set your reticular activating system, set your RAS.
Just explain to me what that is, because there might be people out there who don't know what that is.
Right. Sorry, assumptions. Look, it's just like setting your subconscious mind to sort out these. You set a goal like 2 years out or whatever distance it is, and somehow your subconscious mind just seems to work out how you're going to get to that goal. And so the more clear you are on this goal in the distance, every night you're asleep and things, or you have a holiday as a ripper or a long car trip, it's just great. Like, your mind's just chugging away, and you wake up and go, all I need to do is do this, this, and this. And for these guys, I mean, I think that why they achieve them so quickly is possibly that they have their goal's too small, in short. Whatever that goal is that they thought they might be able to achieve a nudge in 3 years, and they go and achieve it in one, is that probably they're not practiced in setting goals, and they've just been hammered down as kids, or as, I don't know, most tradies, let's face it, they're not extroverted types or ambitious or overpromise. Like, it's almost ingrained into them. And so, I mean, maybe much to the rest of the population is too, but so the goals are hammered down, and then they just go on with a bit of strategic direction and things. They just go and hammer them in after time. That's, and then I guess that's the exciting thing is the second round of that. What are the new goals now? because they are a little bit more ambitious, because they've got confidence overachieving,
and the proof that they can achieve those goals. So it's interesting what you said about the RAS and our subconscious. And so I know that when we're setting, when we've got dreams and goals, your conscious mind automatically almost kills that goal and dream, trying to figure, like, how would that happen? Like, how on earth could I make that happen? Like, and you almost suffocate it before it's even had a chance to, take life. And so you don't have to figure out your current version of yourself doesn't actually have to figure out how that goal will happen. And I know that I was listening to one of Brad Sugar's podcasts recently, and he was interviewing Dr. Alan Peace, who's just, the guru around goal setting. And he said this statement, it's like really resonated around goals. And it's like, current version of you does not know how you will achieve that goal. So don't try and figure it out. Just set the goal, dream big, and trust that your subconscious mind will figure out a way how to make it happen. And you've just literally just explained that in a sense.
Yeah, I guess I'm I come from a bit more structured process than that. I think it just depends on the personality type. Like I do have this goal of like, I'm going to, I want to be out of my business and designed to be out of it in 10 years, right? But I'm sort of can't resist getting the whole spreadsheet thing happening and going, well, if I can do that, there's got a whole lot of ifs in there and go, well, that would make sense. I could see that happening now.
So is that not visualizing it though? A sense of visualizing it?
Yeah, rather than just kind of lying back dreaming, you sort of go, well, actually, I'll start to piece together a whole lot of components to that. And, what does this component look like? And what's that component? And all of a sudden, they sort of start to compound, but you still don't know how to solve it. It's like, I'm looking at it, it's like doing a marathon and thinking that you calculate what your pace is going to be able to do for 42 Ks, and you look at it and just get overwhelmed. You go, holy moly, I don't know how I'm going to get there. But if you break it all down to little bits, it just happens. And this is like you said, the subconscious mind sort of solves it.
Yeah. Okay, great. So for people who can't get to a workshop to come and experience that goal setting that you do there in Geelong, just give me some, say, top 3 tips that could help people get really clear on what it is that they want in their business or, goals they want to set for their life. What would you recommend? Where would they start?
You're going to get someone else.
Get someone
to help. But it could be, you almost need to surround yourself by the right sort of people, and it may or may not be like your partner or a good friend. And I guess you could test it out on your friend. I would. You go, look, if I've done this, I've literally done this with a few friends before who've not driven from me either. They go, is this a good plan? Do you reckon I should do this? Or how do you want things to pan out when you're 60? Or like I'm 50, I'm getting to that age. People are starting to talk about retire. I'm seeing people winding down. But I've got other mates who go, there's no way I'm retiring. I'm going to do this, this, and this. My business is that I'm a builder of factories. That's what I'm going to do. And all I want to be able to do is build factories, but still have time off and still do this and still do that. And they go, oh, right, So you need to hang out with the right sort of people and understand, tell them what you're thinking. You actually got to verbalize it with others on a personal goal front and on a business goal front. And I think if you're in the right room, you will get enormous support and criticism over them. So in terms on the goal front, personal business, I'll do that.
Okay, love that.
Finding the right room.
Well, bouncing it off someone, as in surround yourself by people who are going to elevate you. Critique your goals, but stretch you to think bigger. Safe environment, obviously, whether that's with a coach, whether with the mastermind group or friends that you can trust will do that for you in a safe space. And then what's the next step? Verbalize it.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm a fan of my screensaver is a bit of a picture of that. It's something that, one of my little dreams. So the more you can remind yourself of it, the better, So my favorite is there's a picture of it on the back of your toilet door. Because every time you close the door, there it is. And so whatever that picture is, like somewhere where you can see and is good, is the best. And look, this is this is an interesting one that you won't have heard of. Like I've actually got this friend who's really your friend, but he goes, look, I'm into flying now. Like he went and got his plane license, but he's done it before on other things too. It wasn't just about flying; it was about motorcycle riding. It's about it's a couple of different things. One's about business. He's a steel fabricator, right? But he actually goes, well, who are all the gun business owners in this town, Geelong? 200,000 people. Who are the gun business owners who are middle age, his age? They're trying to build stretch the envelope a little bit. And he doesn't know them very well, but he knows it's a good business. He kind of knows of the guy. He's done this a couple of times. He rings them all up and says, you must face similar issues to me, and you're probably in a different industry, but you're obviously trying to shake the nest a bit. We should all meet up and have dinner, and we should all meet up and have dinner every 2 months. And he just builds this group out of nothing, and all of a sudden he's got his own sort of like his own room. It's like impressive. Like I don't know anyone else who does that. like it's magnificent. And he's got the charisma to be able to pull it together.
Yeah, great. So if you don't have that though, visualize, so back at the toilet door or wherever it is for you that you spend some time. And then what's the next thing? Just give me one more tip.
Oh, well, it's the more people you tell, in short, the more people you tell what that goal is or what that dream is, it happens. Like I've been there thinking that the hardest thing in the world could be ever to run a marathon. But by the time you tell enough people you're going to run a marathon, you have to run. Is that kind of thing. I'm going to put an extra staff member on. Oh, I'm going to buy a factory. Oh, like just tell enough people you have to do it.
Great. Love it. Thank you, Hugh. Now, I've got a question for you before we jump into the fire questions. You've got a new billboard that you just put up. What is it? What's the question on that billboard?
How to make your time worth $450 an hour.
And what's the answer to that question?
Yeah, well, no one's asked me that.
Really?
So I'm a bit disappointed. Like that.
Yet.
Yeah.
It's just
but having said that, the billboard's only been up 2 weeks and it's paid for itself already. So it's certainly. But he didn't ask me that question though, which I'm annoyed by. But the $450 an hour is this. It's a cunning phrase that we use in Action Coach where you should we say you should work on your business 4 hours a week, and people who work with me, people who like prospects, I guess, that ultimately if they're going to work with me, it's going to cost, or not always, but just I throw a nominal number at them. It's like $75,000 a year. And if they work on their business 4 hours a week for 42 weeks a year and they make $75,000, that's $450 an hour. That's what their time's worth. And then of course, 1 or 2 people around my office have asked that, or friends have all asked that. And the next question is, so how much do you charge your time out with doing the job that you do? And it's always less.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great question. Okay. Let's jump into the fire questions, Hugh. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
E-Myth.
Okay. Good book. Number 2, who has been the best mentor or coach for you?
That's probably my current one, frankly. Yeah, there you go. Bruce Wilson at the moment. It's been for several years, 3-4 years now. Had several coaches along the way, but.
Great, man. Number 3, what's the best piece of business advice that you ever received?
Yeah. Well, it's very simple. It's like you don't ask, you don't get. And there's a story behind this, but unless you reach out and ask the right people those things that you really need to know, you don't ever get the opportunity to learn it. And I've been slammed a couple of times in my life for that and gone the long road because I didn't ask the right person when he was right in front of me. So, one of them was my friend's dad, and he said, I told him afterwards, he goes, well, you've got to get over that because if you don't ask, you will never receive.
Great advice. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for spending some time with us today, Hugh.
Sure. No worries. It's been a pleasure.
Michelle Adams, your host here. Hats off to you for committing to your learning by listening to this podcast. And if you'd like some help implementing some of these strategies, then click the link in the description to find your local action coach. They can help you put these strategies into action and take your business and your life to the next level. In the meantime, like and subscribe so that you're the first to get our next episode. We'll see you soon.